Hey guys, today we're checking out WattCycle's new 16 kilowatt hour battery that comes at a very competitive price. So stick around for a couple minutes and see if this is something you might be interested in, as WattCycle has been coming out with a lot more products lately and also being very competitive in their pricing. So we'll do a quick comparison with this battery and also an EG4 battery, also show you how I have this hooked up to my inverter, and we'll even do a little bit of a deep dive inside of this battery just to kind of show you how the build construction is, and then hopefully by the end of this video you'll know if maybe this will be something that'll work for you. Okay, let's just start off with the pricing, because again, it is competitively priced. So normally at the time of this video, this is going to come out at $2,499 for one of these batteries. And this will have a 5-year plus 2-year warranty for a total of 7 years. But with added discounts and promotions, you can also save more on top of that. Plus, when you buy more than one battery, the price just gets cheaper and cheaper. So for instance, let's just say you buy 2 batteries. So instead of $2,499, or let's just say $2,500 for one battery, well, if you buy 2, you're saving $50 a piece at basically $2,450 for 2 batteries. But now if you take a look and you buy a pack of 3 batteries, the price drops even more to $2,333. So basically, the more you bundle these together, the more you save, and it gets even cheaper when you buy 4, which it's kind of crazy because look at the price when you buy 4 of these. $8,000 for a pack of 4, that's only $2,000 each for a 16 kilowatt hour battery, which is pretty crazy. And if you take advantage of the 9% discount down below, you're saving an additional $720. So that's pretty crazy as far as how much you're saving when you bundle these up. That ends up being like $113 per kilowatt hour, which is pretty darn low, and honestly maybe the cheapest I've seen when it comes to batteries like this. Okay, we'll take a deeper look into this battery real quick, and then we'll move on to the inverter setup and battery setup. That way we can kind of see if maybe that's something that'll help you out. Okay, I'm going to be using this little pointer just because whenever I put my finger up here, the camera sometimes will drop out of focus and then refocus. So right here you do have a little reset button. If for some reason this ends up freezing up, you can put a little device in there, press the little reset button and reset it. You also have your address switch for battery number 1, 2, 3, or 4, and also dry contacts, which means you can hook this up to, say, a 2-wire start generator, and it can start it depending on the amount of voltage or either what the state of charge is. You have all of your communication ports up here, and then you have your battery terminals here, which you can also parallel as well. At the top, we do have a push button for power, and then we do have our main breaker along with your positive terminals. Now you will also find the spec sheet, which this is going to be a lithium iron phosphate battery that's 314 amp hours. But if you look right here, this is the actual amount in kilowatt hours, which is 16.08, at least that's what it's rated for. Your standard input current is 62.8, but you can do a max of 300 amps, and as far as output goes, a max of 300 amps out. This also has overcurrent protection for charging and discharging, along with parallel capability of up to 15 units. And then your communications and your recommended charging temperatures and discharging temperatures. This battery is made in China, and you can find more information on the bottom like a QR code along with the serial number. Now at the top you do have your LED indicator representing state of charge, which currently at the moment it's around 64%. Now as we look at the display, there's 7 pages that this will take you through, which we're just going to run this through real quick because we have this page here and then 6 others. This is going to show you all the information as far as our state of charge, which gives you a couple different indicators, along with voltage, how much current is either coming in or going out of the battery, your max voltage or cell voltage, and then minimum voltage, along with temperature, which you can also check in Fahrenheit. And then here you can see your balance current or the current setting, along with other information as well. You can also do equalization switch, which this is going to help continue to balance out your batteries. And then of course you can change this from charge on and off within the app. As we look at the next page, each one of these is a cells and gives you your cell voltage, so kind of cool information that it gives you that, along with also temperature if you wanted to see that, which if you press, which then you can see what the temperature is, but right now it does say Celsius, but in the app you can change that. As we go to the next page, this is where you will see any alarms that happen to pop up or faults if there is any. You also have this chart, which you can turn this on, but for me, I don't think this is something I'll use a whole lot. I can get information within the app, but again, it does give you the basics like state of charge, voltage, and amperage. On the next page is where you will have settings for either BMS or also the LCD, so you can go to language. This is where you can do your LCD brightness, also sleep time, not to mention you can change this to a different language, which there's only one. You can then go to your BMS to set up communications for the type of inverter that you may have, which there are several to choose from, which I will show you what I used later when we go on to hooking this up to the EG4 inverter. And we go to the next page, which this is just going to be product information, the version along with your serial number and of course manufacturer. And we go back to the main page. Okay, let's take a look inside this battery here. Now, if you notice the frame all the way around, you see how there's spacing here on the sides? These are almost like crumple zones, so if this happens to get damaged, it'll press in on this versus you have space here in between the cells, so that's kind of nice. Same thing on the other side, you do have spacing, so if, again, you do have anything that kind of crumples this, or maybe something during shipping damage, it'll smash these in versus pressing right up on the cells, so that's good that they give it space. And if you come up here, you can see our large positive bus bar, big negative bus bar, then going down to your main breaker, which turns it on. And then also down here at the bottom, if you can see this, let me show you down here, they give you an extra fuse because they do give you a few extra items that come. So that right there is a replaceable fuse just in case if you ever happen to have an issue. And then of course this will go up into your terminals that we saw earlier, the positive terminals. And then this black bus bar goes all the way over here to the negative terminals that we did see earlier. This here is the on-off switch that we saw earlier. And then of course down here, this is going to be the little electronic computer board. That's going to be that LED light. And then you do have a QR code here that you can scan. And this is the WattCycle BMS here that also shows active balancing on it and more. And then this little computer board down here, that's going to be the display that we saw earlier that allows us to do all our settings and more. Now, one thing I noticed that there's a lot of space up here, so they didn't crowd this at all, which is good. But I was looking at, remember we saw these crumple zones and everything, but if you come way down here, this bus bar that connects these two packs, see how close that is? That's pretty close right there. I mean, they do have this little foam right here that does give you some protection, but if this was to really smash in and make contact with that, which I mean, it does have, you know, a shutoff on it, but still, that's could have shifted this up maybe, you know, even a 1/4 inch, I think is probably better to give you a little bit more space there. But now, of course, you can see all of our spacing right here for all our vents, just in case if these cells had a problem, they could vent out properly. You can also see this is a temperature sensor probe on that pack right there. And then, of course, all of these little balance leads, which all of these are nice and screwed down, which you do have expansion joints in between these as well, that way for any expansion and contraction. Then you do have another temp sensor right here. Looks like a temp sensor there, another temp sensor there. So, and then all the wiring too, if you look, it's all pretty clean. I'm not really seeing anything that kind of is like, hey, maybe we should address this. I don't really see anything as far as protection maybe on top of this stuff, but that backer board was on here and I think it did go up a little bit higher. I have to look at that again, but overall, it's a clean build. I'm not seeing anything, you know, all the wires are all zip tied nice and clean, so not seeing anything that's kind of jumping out at me that's saying, hey, maybe this should be fixed, except for, you know, I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit more space down there, but other than that, you know, overall, now this doesn't have any kind of a fire suppression system in it like some batteries do, which some people think that those systems are kind of, you know, they're not really going to do much if something does start to run away because they only last for a few seconds and then that's it. So kind of up to debate. What do you guys think? Would you like to see a fire suppression system in here? I mean, again, they don't last very long, but it's something versus nothing. But I don't know. Let me know what you think. But overall, again, really clean build. So we'll get this put back together and get this hooked up to the inverter. And just to show you one more thing, it does come with these rolling casters that everybody loves, along with the stops and also height adjust. So I don't know about you, but I don't know anybody who doesn't like these. Now, just so you guys know, these are pretty heavy batteries that'll be coming in shipping containers. And so you may need some help because these do weigh about 260 pounds, I think, inside the crate. So you may want to get some help, and also when it comes to moving this battery around, it can be a little bit tippy, just so you know. So if you push it forward like this, it may want to tip over on you, or pulling it backwards, but rolling it lengthwise is not really so bad. Now I did have to disassemble my old EG4 setup, which these batteries have worked fine, but I did wish they had a little bit more capacity. Now I did utilize the EG4 box and just drilled new holes to put on top of the WattCycle battery. This allows for a much cleaner setup, as I don't like seeing wiring. Now when it does come to this inverter, it is pretty darn heavy, so you may need some help if this is something you might be using or looking at buying. And voila, there we go. Everything is done for this single battery, which I'm going to be hooking up a secondary battery, but I'm going to get some of the actual parallel cables so I can run them directly. This will give me a much cleaner setup. Now, basically, this thing is a fully self-contained off-grid setup. It's not connected to the grid. It is ready to go as it sits, with power in and also power out on this side, with solar in on the other side that feeds right into the inverter. So over here I have a 50 amp outlet, and then I have another 50 amp inlet that'll allow me to charge this or discharge while it's operating at the same time. And as you can see here, this is my communications port, which I am just using actually in an EG4 battery case. And all I did was get a little grommet, do a little bit of insulation protection here. I got this little strain relief nut here just to help hold this so it's not wanting to tug it down from the inverter, but also gives it a nice clean insulation and protects it. But when it comes to this side, I didn't have quite as much room, so I had to come in from the side there, as you can see. But no big deal. Now the way I have this set up obviously may not be for everybody, but this allows me to have it as a fully self-contained unit. So just to give you a look at the inside, there's the positive cable coming in. We have the negative cable coming in from this side along with our communication wire, which then just runs up to the inverter. But right now we only have a single battery coming in, so that's why only one single red, one single black. But for this particular inverter, we will need doubles coming in so I can take advantage of the full amp draw of this unit. But you can also just see that this is going to be the wiring for my out and also my in for, I have this right now going into generator input, so I can run this either into AC or if I wanted a generator charging it. But you can see there is where I have my AC input and output, which the AC input is on the backside over there. Sorry, a little bit hard to see, and then AC input right here. But overall, this is a real simple system that you can build and basically have yourself a fully self-contained unit that you can kind of do whatever you want with. And I can fully disassemble this literally in minutes. I can have this whole thing off the wall, disconnected in about 15 to 20 minutes. Okay, so I want to show you the programming on this thing real quick. So the programming, or at least the communications for this one, if you go into settings, see here where it says Heine on it, or Heine ESS, that's the one that it typically defaults to. So I was running the pylon system as far as in the beginning, but I noticed it would actually default and trip right back to this. So it auto-communicated and set right back up all by itself. So the Heine ESS, that's the one you want to set up your communications with. And so far it's been working just fine using that communication set. So that's the one I would go with. Okay, let's turn on some solar. And now what I have basically an off-grid system that feeds this. And what it is a 3.26 array that is on the east and west side of my house. And so if we take a look up here, you can see about 4,200 watts, a little bit more than that coming in. And since we're pretty close to noon and the sun is straight up, our voltage is also pretty even if you look up here. And also the wattage coming in on each side is not too far off, so it won't take long to fill this up. Okay, so I also wanted to show you the app. So what I'm going to do is throw this up on the screen, but if you go into the About section, this is where you can do settings and then, of course, change temperature, go from Celsius or to Fahrenheit, your max charging voltage, max charging current, and a whole bunch of other settings. So if you wanted to get real personal with this, and then, of course, paralleling down here, which when we do hook up the other battery, that's what I am going to be doing. Project machine, can't really do much there, it looks like, but this is where you will find firmware versions and more. Then go back to dashboard. If you go to the voltage, you can go to here and you can actually see, look at that, the active balancing. You see how it's moving around? So that's kind of cool that it's jumping around each pack of cells there and balancing those out. So that's pretty neat. And then, of course, it'll show you our amps, also the amount of power going in, which right now you can see 4,200 watts. And then up here it does say charging and time to full, about 1.4 hours. And we have a little dial down here on the left that shows us our temperature in Fahrenheit and also Celsius. And you can turn off these little buttons too, like if you wanted to do discharging, turn that off. Other than that, the app looks pretty cool. Now, I did run a little bit of testing on this battery so far as a discharge test. I did do a 0.2 C rate. If you look here at the meter, I'm drawing about 3,200 watts roughly off of this. As you can see by the battery, we have about 3,330 watts coming out of the battery. But if we take a look at the inverter side, about 3,400 watts as far as the EG4 app goes. And once it leaves the inverter, about 3,269. Now, if you look up in this area, it says battery discharge and then also consumption and more. But we're also going to pay attention to look how many kilowatt hours I was able to get out of this as far as usable. 15.5 kilowatt hours is usable energy out of the battery after it goes through the inverter. But as we take a look at the battery discharge, it says I got 16.4 kilowatt hours out of the actual battery, which was actually pretty impressive because I did the same test again just to make sure, and that one ended up yielding 16.3 as far as how much energy I got out of this particular battery, which honestly was pretty impressive. So obviously they're using grade A cells and it might just be slightly underrated, but hey, that's just what the numbers show. That's what happens after I cycled it a couple times, after discharging, charging it, and then a full discharge again. And then now it's mostly charged. So that's just information that I wanted to pass on to you guys as far as what I was able to get out of this battery. So at least they're using quality components or quality cells anyway. Okay, now there's a lot of different ways you can use a system like this, being that it's kind of all self-contained. If you wanted to, you could throw this in, say, a work trailer or maybe a garden trailer. You could throw this in a race car trailer. You could even use this in maybe certain types of RVs and more. It just kind of all depends on your setup. Now, when it comes to the inverter, it's pretty big, it's pretty heavy, but the price has come down quite a bit. But if you want something in a smaller package, the WattCycle 48 volt inverter is actually quite a bit smaller and reasonably priced. Now, there's other ways you can use it to get a return on your investment so it starts to pay for itself. Like, say you wanted to just put it into a transfer switch and start running loads off your house. You could easily run your refrigerator, you can run lights, you can run your oven, microwave, all kinds of other different appliances within your home. And because this is kind of a self-sustained system, I have this hooked up to an off-grid solar setup on my home, and it charges this pretty much every single day, and it charges both of my EVs. I have a plug-in hybrid and also this Tesla vehicle that I can charge up every single day, and with energy rates and not to mention gas prices, which only seem to ever go up, this is only going to pay for itself that much quicker. Now, as far as other batteries go that are out there, there's a lot that are coming out. Like, if you were to compare this to, say, the EG4 16 kilowatt hour battery, well, you're also looking at a much higher expense. They do have a little bit higher warranty, but if you're going to buy these in bulk, that's where you save a ton of money. And most people, when they buy these, usually 2 is kind of what you need, because 16 kilowatt hours, at least from my experience, is pretty good for your basic power outages. But if you really want to be able to extend and do a lot more things like charging up EVs, staying off grid longer and longer, you almost need 30 kilowatt hours to 45. That is kind of like the sweet spot depending on kind of what you need. Now, if you're fully off grid, obviously, then you can go all the way as far as you want with these. You can go to 100 kilowatt hours and more, and that still may not be enough depending on your situation. But so far, with the amount of testing that I've done and just running this particular single battery at the moment, it's doing just fine. But so far, the battery is pretty impressive. For the size, it's the same as the 14.3 kilowatt hour batteries that I was already using before. They're actually just slightly smaller. But when you consider the price, and then if you add the discount, really makes it not a bad option to consider. So let me know what your guys' thoughts are on the new WattCycle 16 kilowatt hour battery. If this is something you would like, check out the links in the description down below. I hope you guys liked the video, and I hope to see you in another one.